Merci beaucoup, chers amis. Thank you very much, and thank you, Pond, for inviting me and everybody for being here. I'm flattered to be here, and again, thanks for inviting me. It's always a good thing to be talking about what we can do and how we're working in different aspects of disaster relief and how this can help Cameroon and Africa as one of the regions that we're more focused on. So let me share screen, and I'll have a presentation that I'll go through. Can you see my presentation now? Please nod, Charles, if you can see my presentation.
Yes, we can see that clearly.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. So, Satellogic, I'm going to give you a bit of an overview of the company and then what we can do and what we're doing specifically for flood risk prevention and and aid in case of floods and other disasters that happen in the planet. So, first of all, to give you a snapshot of what Satellogic is willing to do, we are creating a searchable Earth. We build our own observation satellites. So with them, we aim at globally remapping at some point, and I'm going to give you a bit of where we stand today and where we're heading, the whole globe on a daily basis. That is our ultimate plan, to be able to have a live catalog of everything that's happening on Earth. And with that, do a number of different things to help with decision-making on the commercial side, and to help with, with improving life on Earth, and to be able to prevent and to aid in case of natural disasters on the more ecosystem and climate change related side. So the company is today, we're almost 300 members distributed in different countries. We were founded in Argentina. I'm Argentinian. I live in the United States, but I'm originally from Argentina, as much as our founders are, and many of the ones that work in Satellogic today. So we have different offices distributed all over. We have our manager for EMEA in sales is from Angola. Maybe you know him, Eldridge de Mello, but he's actually living in Finland today. But we'd love to say that we have an office in Africa. We still don't have it. But we have people working all over the world, and as much as you see the places here are represented in the map that represent places where we actually have a physical office, we also have people working in about 50 cities spread out in different places in the world, and we're very open to have people working from home or from all over, depending on their function, of course. But so we would love to have somebody actually working from Africa, not only being African, but working from Africa. So and for that, and mentioning the Space Generation Advisory Council, with which we have a memorandum of understanding in place. Many of my colleagues are younger than I am, and they belong to that organization. So we look forward to have many more of you, and it's amazing what SGSC is doing. And how we have, this kind of talent in younger people all around the world. So to date, we have launched 25 satellites, the last 4 of which were launched in June with SpaceX, and we're launching again with SpaceX in the next quarter next year. The reason I mention this is because we had launched with many other launchers in the past, and with SpaceX, we found a perfect equation in terms of frequency of rockets, going to orbit, that sort of match the frequency with which we build our satellites. So I'm going to talk about the satellites in the next slide, but just to give you a hint, they are very, they're small, they're micro satellites, and they're very cost effective. We build them for a fraction of the cost of what a traditional satellite costs. And we build them very quickly. We're doing 1 satellite every 3 months. That meaning that, from parts entering inventory to the satellite being ready to ship to the launching platform, that's only 3 months. And SpaceX sort of matches that kind of pace, because they have very frequent launches, and we can match their launch speed to our speed of manufacturing. So a lot of what we do is our own invention. This has, you know, when I told you that we do them very cost effectively, this is the main driver. The fact that we do not buy components or, you know, or any other thing from third parties. We do not buy designs from third parties. We build everything ourselves. So that's, you know, we have every patent on inventions that we do filed, and 11 of them were already granted. And that has to do a lot with willing to keep our costs low and our inventions, you know, within our own premises and our own intellectual property. So our satellites look like the one that you see over there. This is how it would look from below. There's a main telescope over here that carries a multispectral camera that is capturing today's 70 centimeter resolution imagery and also providing video capabilities. And we have a hyperspectral camera on the base side over here that provides a 29 band, 25 meter resolution capacity in terms of hyperspectral imagery. So all satellites are equipped with both, and we use them both, you know, in different contracts that we have with clients all around the world. We have clients in every continent, in the private and in the governmental sector as well. Some, you know, hard numbers here. The mass of the satellite is of around 40 kilograms. We orbit at 475 kilometers from Earth on average, low Earth orbit and sun synchronic. The lifetime of the satellite, this is another way that we drive their cost low. The lifetime of the satellites is a bit over 3 years, somewhere between 3 and 4 years. And we do that because we want to have our technology in orbit as updated as technology on Earth is. So we would want to have the satellites, you know, replaced by new generations with the same kind of frequency that phones or computers are replaced. Okay, so typically, you know, a phone stays with you for maybe 3 to 4 years before you change it. Well, that's the kind of speed that we want to have with our satellites in orbit as well. And all of that is another way, you know, the batteries and the propellant in the back and everything on the satellite is designed to only last 3 years. So that allows us to drive cost low too, and to, you know, go straight to the point and tell you how much more effective we are versus a traditional satellite. You know, a traditional satellite costs anywhere between $200, $500 million and $1 billion. Our satellites, you know, put in orbit are below 1 million. So we managed to build and launch and commission a satellite for less than $1 million. That is very, very unique in the industry, and that allows us to, first of all, to not care so much about the satellite being short-lived, because we do not have to you know, to make up for a $1 million investment or multi-million-dollar investment. And second of all, it allows us to translate those low costs into low pricing. Our pricing in terms of satellite imagery is by far the lowest in the industry. So we are very, you know, we're very proud of the way we're doing things. It has to do with many other things in the way we drive costs low. Another thing is that we build them in South America. So that is, you know, that is a lot more cost effective than it would be to build them in Europe or in the US. And we also have our manufacturing plant in a facility that is you know, that is within a free zone, so we pay no taxes there. So there's many ways that we can drive the costs of this high-tech product very low, and that allows us to have very low pricing and compared to anybody else in the new space or in the traditional space industry. So our satellites, this is a bit of a story of what the launches were like, and you know, how many satellites per launch and what the names were, never mind the first names, but the names as of February 2018 were names of women in science. So we're sticking to that policy for the next 100 satellites too. So the names that you see over here, Ada is Ada Lovelace, this is Maria Mirzakhani, Sophie Germain, Marie Curie, Hypatia, etc. Every name represents the first name of a famous woman in STEM. And we, again, for the next 100 satellites at least, we will stay within this this trend and this way of naming them. Just to give you a hint of how the last launch with SpaceX was, this is the orbital injection moment of our 4th satellite there. They were mounted into the rockets, transversally this way, and this is the moment where the fourth of these, which is Sophia, was injected into orbit. What we like about SpaceX, aside from the fact that they launch very frequently and they're hip, and and by the way, they're the best offer that we have today in terms of cost for launching, is that they also have cameras everywhere. So we could actually see our satellite going into orbit for the first time, because we weren't able to see that with previous launches. Some partnerships that we have, and now entering more of of the topic of today's session, which is what we do to avoid and to fight and to assess risk over floods and other disasters. We have a number of partnerships. Some logos that you see over there, very well, especially the Space Generation Advisory Council one is here. But we're also part, for instance, of the Disaster Charter that depends on the United Nations. What we do here is we assist, and this is not commercial. We do it for free, of course. We assist in case of floods or tsunamis or fires or earthquakes or whatever could happen in the world. We assist with our satellites to be able to capture images as soon as possible and as frequently as possible, to help in and for emergency responders or relief organizations, post-event cleanup crews, whomever could help after or during a catastrophe, to better assist the people that are affected by it. So this is our main partnership in that sense. We have worked also with NASA in their division with NASA disasters. They're doing a lot of volcano monitoring, and we help on that too. And there's many others, aside from space clubs like some that you see over here, or space organizations that we're part of. There's many other organizations in the world where we're happy to lend our services and capabilities whenever we can help with disaster prevention. So looking at some examples of things that we've been working on recently, the first ones will be more directed to floods specifically, but then I threw in some other disasters that we also add value to. So this was the Rhine in Germany. So Germany had lots of rains. It was back in July, and many of the rivers were flooded, and the Rhine is the one, this is the river. It's all mud color, but this torrential rain, it caused a flooding to be so severe that entire sections of towns were like reduced to rubble, and this was a deadly flood, by the way. And well, you can see how it comes here, and how this is all near Bonn, near the city of Bonn. And of course, we provided imagery for emergency responders to act more effectively in saving people and providing help and relief for everybody affected. This other one is in India. This is actually a hydro plant. This was earlier in the year. This was in February, and there was this large rock and ice avalanche that occurred, which caused a massive flood. And the river that you see over here is called the Dhauli Ganga, and this river is in a city called Uttarakhand. I think I pronounced it more or less well. And it destroyed this hydro plant. It partially destroyed it. And what we did in this case was identify the source of the disaster by mapping the areas where the rock slide or the avalanche had occurred. So this is another example. Third one here is also a flood. This was a mudslide in a place in Japan called Atami. And this one is also recent. This was around July or August, if I'm not mistaken. So again, similar to Germany, because of the rain, the earth gave way, and mudslide swept away, dozens of homes and roadways and places, and shops. And this was, it was deadly too, regretfully. And it cuts through, you can see it here cutting through the trees and entering the city. And several roads were buried, and when you see rooftops that are buried below the mud. So again, the kind of service that we do and the kind of value that we add here is taking images as requested as soon as possible. To give you an idea, the kind of frequency that we can provide today, is up to 4 times per day imagery of anybody anywhere in the planet. So we can do this very, very quickly and act upon it not only on, while it's occurring, but on the aftermath, whatever is needed for to help during and to help after these events occur. But we're very focused on trying to, to get our imagery and our technology and our capacity to be able to help in situations like this. So not more floods so far, but just to give you some more examples with other things that we've done. And this was with NASA. For NASA disasters, we were monitoring this volcano in Guatemala called the Pacaya volcano. It erupted somewhere, it was around March this year, if I'm not incorrect. And we were doing daily monitoring of it. So that's why you see, consecutive day dates. Then this was the explosion in Beirut last year. We also aided in that situation. This is a fire in Sichuan in China. This we did with with hyperspectral imagery, a wildfire, another wildfire, but in California, in the US. This, we have looked at some of these vessels and monitored some of these vessels. This one is the Wakashu that was stranded in the coast of Mauritius. We also did some services for one in the coast of Venezuela. And actually, this one was just to take the picture. I'm not going to lie to you. This one, there was no real help here, but the reason I put it here is because when the Evergreen got stranded in the Suez Canal, every satellite imagery company went out to get an image, and ours, in Twitter and other social channels, it was informally voted the best one. So that's why I decided to show it here. So this is my last slide, just to give you an idea of where we stand and where we're going. So I told you that we'd launched 25 satellites today. The reason it says 17 here is because we already decommissioned 8. I told you that they're expressly short-lived. So we decommissioned those first 8 satellites, and we're using 17 commercially. We have a whole roadmap ahead to get to 300 satellites by 2025. That would give us the ability to pretty much look at the Earth in real time. Today, we're able to, to remap the entire globe on a monthly basis and to revisit points of interest, as I mentioned before, up to 4 times per day. The quality of the multispectral imagery is today standing at 70 centimeters, as I told you. We're lowering it down to the lower, limit of civil use of satellite imagery, which is 30 centimeters. Beyond that would be military use that we don't want to enter into. So we will stop at 30. But well, we have a whole roadmap ahead, and the future looks bright for us, or so we hope. So this is how it will look year to year after, until we get to the 300 satellites. By the way, when we get here, it's not like we're going to rest, but we're going to be replenishing those all the time, as I told you before. So the idea is to have updated technology all the time, and that won't stop. So we will have 300 at all times, and not 300 that we launch once and never again. It's not going to be like that. So with that, my contact info is on the screen, and I thank you again for having me here.